Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks.
This is Attorney Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talks. I want to have a discussion because we're talking about Biden dropping out now 12 to 14 weeks before the election, depending on when he dropped out. And they're basically misrepresenting it to you, in my view. He cannot drop out right now. We're too far along. What has happened here is that there's a certain level of voter disenfranchisement going on if he drops out, because what it creates is a situation where your vote for a liberal candidate got taken from you. That is my view. They have failed you because you basically didn't get to primary him last year. I would go back to 2019 because we'll talk about that in a second with what was happening before South Carolina and what they did to flip the whole election layout from Bernie being on top, Elizabeth Warren, Buttigieg, Biden, to Biden being on top after South Carolina when Kamala Harris drops out. But for the purposes of this conversation, Democrats need a whole new 2024 presidential ticket, not just to swap Kamala Harris for Joe Biden. That's my view. I have no idea how they think it is appropriate to swap out a Kamala Harris that is both incompetent and politically inept, center-right in my view, in some of her politics, for Joe Biden, and it's okay. And you should have that same question. She couldn't even get her campaign together. Y'all don't remember? Y'all don't remember when she couldn't run her campaign? So a lady that could not run her campaign and did not get Democratic support nationally is now being proposed to be able to pull a party together with 12 weeks and run a campaign nationally for the president. Get the hell out of here. Y'all done fucked up our vote. Don't nobody want to talk about it. Please support the channel. These kind of videos don't see the same monetization. Please use Cash App. Please use Patreon. Let's get right to the discussion. So I believe that they need a whole new ticket. They don't need to push Kamala out. I don't believe Kamala can run a national campaign, and I do not believe Kamala Harris beats Trump. She is Indian Jamaican, raised in large part in Canada, very awkward. To me, shows signs of being a bit lazy. Cannot even run a campaign. How can you think that she is a better choice than just letting this slide out, this old man that they done chose, that's 80-something years old? Biden says he won't step aside, but if he does, here's why Harris is the favorite to replace him. I want to talk. So CNN did a whole special a few days ago, and they showed that Trump is likely to win in a landslide. This is before the RNC convention. They showed the whole map. Election day is in 16 weeks, and what the Democrats did in 2024, running Joe Biden at 80 years old, over 80 years old, without primary challenges, was not only incompetent, but disrespectful to everyone demanding liberal policy. Everyone. Me, you, everybody in your family. I don't think that we're grasping it because they are propagandizing an alternative that is unrealistic. Running somebody out here with 10 weeks to 12 weeks to run a national presidential campaign is tantamount to lying to you. We've never seen anything like it in politics. This will rank among the greatest political failures, this is my view again, by a party in our lifetime. We missed the window, and there's no appetite right now for any big moves that will throw more uncertainty and friction in this race. That's what somebody said a few days ago. It's been going back and forth. Now Biden said he gonna campaign after COVID. This 83-year-old man. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Kay. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine. Give me your take on it. We're gonna get right into this discussion. This is our discussion. I don't understand what they're saying to us. I just know that they're playing a game with us, telling us that they can swap him out for Kamala, as if that makes sense.
So basically what's happening is they do want to get rid of Biden. And it's the establishment, the same people that knocked Bernie out of the race in 2019 are the same people that are pushing to get him out of the race at this moment. And Black women, specifically in the party, NCBC, want to push for them to replace him with Kamala if they do push him off. They don't want him to not out because they feel like to get rid of Biden because they feel like if Biden runs and wins, Kamala is going to be the first Black woman president. So that's what the CBC is fighting for to keep him on the ticket. But in the event that they do get rid of him, they're fighting to ensure that they switch him out with Kamala because all the liberals that are saying that they want him out are not saying that they want Kamala to replace him. So there's a lot of infighting in the party right now because of that, and they have done nothing for Black people the entire time that they have been there. Not one thing have they done specifically for us. So
I agree.
There's no reason for us to continue to support this party that obviously, first of all, they robbed us around votes in the primary because where was the primary for 2024?
Where was the primary for 2019?
I didn't vote.
Where was the primary for 2019? We got to go all the way back to 2019. I told you guys when Kamala dropped out before South Carolina, she basically, to me, had brokered a side deal to not split the Black vote, leaving Bernie with a much greater chance of winning South Carolina. What happened as a result is Biden won South Carolina, but he was running way behind before that. And so what happened is he comes out of South Carolina, and I believe he already basically chosen her as VP. And she basically traded the ADOS vote. I said that way back then. But any last thing you want to say to the audience?
Yeah, so lastly, Kamala's not popular, not with Black people, not with anybody. She couldn't even carry her own state in the primary. She did a horrible job. So for anyone to say that she should be his replacement, if it does happen, it's ridiculous. You literally just want to put a Black face in a high place. And honestly, she's biracial and she has done nothing.
It's more than she's biracial. She's not Black American. She's not African American. What Kamala Harris is a half Jamaican American and Indian. But that's a recessive culture as well, the Jamaican. She's actually Indian American, raised in large part in Canada. In and of itself, that's not a problem. What is a problem is that the lens that Black American, ADOS, American descendant slavery women are trying to use is as if she grew up in Alabama. It's as if she wasn't a prosecutor that did the truancy laws, and we'll cover that later. I have no idea what's going on. I just know politically, she is not the answer. I'm gonna let you go, caller. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? So I'm walking you through this. And you had Kamala basically, who really should never have been chosen to be VP, be able to hook herself to the Biden ticket. She had no delegates to trade. She's from California. He's gonna win that state anyway. And the only reason that this all worked, in my view, was in large part because of this Black Lives Matter moment of Black women saying that they need a Black woman, not an ADOS woman, not an ADOS person, but a Black woman. So we end up with an Indian Jamaican woman that had politics that was center right, if not right wing. And truancy laws, what she did with truancy is like far right. I have no idea how you think now that a person of that ilk could be the national candidate. But go ahead, give me a take.
Desperation. Look, we all know she's the DEI choice. That was from the get. She brought in a certain number of votes and got him over the other hump. But now it's all blowing up in their face. After all, wasn't she the one, or still is, the one in charge of the border? And look what's going on with that. If she is chosen, that would be the talking point that Trump's going to keep hammering people. She's in charge of the border, and 12 million people came across the border. So that alone is going to nullify any effort to bring her into the White House as president.
But I think before we get to that, she can't run a campaign. She can't. I'll read it to you later. Her campaign was so bad that the people inside of her campaign were complaining and leaving. She can't even keep a staff as a VP. How many people have left her office? Right. I don't understand how those parts. They don't talk about that. And I'm looking at this thing, and I don't understand how. Let's say it again. These people at the DNC, are trying to tell you that with 13 weeks until the election, 14 weeks, that a woman who cannot run a campaign in a national regular timeline can come in and solidify a party. You have to start being honest about who this person is. What are their politics? Did she do truancy laws that locked up black mothers? Did she keep black men and other men in to fight fires? You have to be honest. How did she campaign before? You can't keep running on identity. Go ahead, give me your last take on it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these black women on these legacy news programs are letting folks know if she's not chosen, the black women are going to walk. So it's an open revolt, and because the Democratic Party needs all parts of its all the parts of people in order for them to pass over the hump and get in the White House. If you lose these black women, which they threaten to do, then they won't make it. So they gonna sacrifice. This is really a kamikaze run if they put her up, and that's what they're gonna do. So when all said and done, it'll fall apart. Maybe the Democratic Party can be rebuilt, and they can be rebuilt for the people, not for the corporate Democrats.
I agree, and I'm looking at it, and I appreciate you calling in. The queue is filling up 310-388-3499. We're getting a lot of early calls because there's a lot of opinions. Again, I'm under the weather. That's why my voice is a little hoarse. But I wanted to bring this show, and the topic of the show, again, is Democrats need a whole new ticket, not just to swap Kamala Harris out. The reasoning is that the infrastructure can stay in place in a way that it can't if you swap other people into Kamala, but Kamala won't win. She's not even competent. Okay, let's not even go to competence first. She's not like a former governor 2 terms that ran a state and fiscally changed the direction of that state. She's a junior senator that was a prosecutor before that, attorney general and then prosecutor. She doesn't have the political beneficios to be president. Now somebody can say Trump isn't either. I'm not choosing Trump. I'm asking the question, why are you putting this person in front of us as liberals? We got to talk today. They need a whole new ticket. You got Democrat Schiff saying, I think if he is, meaning Biden is our nominee, I think we lose. Yeah, we told you that. We said that to you before. I pointed out in a show years ago that Clinton was 47 when he won. I pointed out that the boomers have basically eaten alive the era of Generation X and many older millennials. You have stolen our moment. Biden and Trump are reflections of boomer ego. They're not just individuals. Y'all dealing with this in your house. You got old people that don't want to move to the side. Still moving like they 62 when they 87, 83. Can we get to it? He's still saying he ain't going to drop out. There is no historical precedent for Biden dropping out now. I want to key down on that because they are talking to you as if this is normal, as if you really got an alternative, as if 12 weeks is long enough to bring another candidate in. And it ain't a true 12 weeks. You got to pick the person. So we talking 10 weeks. There is no historical precedent for Biden dropping out now. Biden has been selfish. He's been awful. He's been ornery. He needs to move if he gonna move. He needs to stay if he gonna stay. Either way, when Trump win because he stayed here, it's his fault. It's the DNC's fault. Y'all need to have that in your heart. Can I talk today? Y'all can't let these people just bring Kamala out and talk about a black woman, and then when she lose, she lost because she's a black woman. No, she came in with 12 weeks left. Can we talk? I just want to get to it. Please support the channel. Seems like both parties are in cahoots to put Trump in. I want to say it again. There's no historical precedent for Biden dropping out. Now, the only thing I think we saw was, I think, Johnson and Truman, but it happened in last year for us. It will be 2023. During the primaries, they selected a new person. They were supposed to let us primary Biden, but they didn't. It is not unprecedented for an incumbent president to abandon his re-election campaign, but it is rare, and no president has been pressured out of a re-election out of concerns of his mental fitness. One warning bell for Democrats who assume that a nominee younger than Biden would do better against Trump. Republicans won the 2 most recent elections in which presidents eligible for re-election bowed out of their campaigns. We go back to Truman, we go back to Johnson. But both Johnson and Truman, like Biden, were former lawmakers and former vice presidents. Neither Truman nor Johnson face serious questions about their ability to do the job. Biden does. But understand this. But both Johnson and Truman face competition for their party's nomination in the 52 and 68, respectively. Both were embarrassed in subpar showings in the New Hampshire primary. They were taken out in the primaries. This is an abysmal failure. It is one of the greatest political failures you will see in your lifetime. It is definitely one of the greatest political failures in modern history. No one in media is framing it that way. This is a debacle. They have basically given you an option. You vote for whoever we put out there, or Trump is going to be your president. Do you understand the failure? Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Michael. Calling from Virginia. And yeah, so with the 2024 presidential ticket with Democrats, they're very outdated, too old. They can't relate to millennials. Gen X, millennials, Gen Zers, and not only that, but the Democrats have been doing this historically, going back to Bill Clinton when he was the new Democrat running the DLC, and before him was Bill Bradley. So to me, the modern Democrats are controlling the game. They're against radical changes to move the country forward, because the problems became radical over time, going back to the 1980s. And it just frustrates not only me, but frustrates everybody that why we always keep choosing, neoliberal Democrats to be a safe ticket or a safe haven. They're not safe, because I know that modern Democrats, they're not going to fight very hard. They're just going to, close the wound halfway and let the market fix the rest of the problem, and it doesn't work, because when a problem is so massive, it's going to require deep surgery.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, but you ain't gonna get no deep. You ain't gonna get no deep. Caller. You ain't gonna get no deep surgery in 12 weeks. So we talking about this issue. God, thank you so much for calling in. Look. We got a situation here. It's like a bullet wound, but it's a hole in your whole body, and it's a Trump-sized hole. They telling you what this caller just said. We got to do long-term treatment. We only got Band-Aids in here, and they showing you the Kamala Band-Aid, and you believe in it. I need you to understand, they just made you vote for Trump. How did that happen? So even if you don't vote, Trump's still gonna win, because now they don't have an alternative. This is a failure of you for your family. You should be livid. I don't understand why you're not. They are propagandizing a message as if they can swap people out. We are in a political calamity, one that me and Yvette talked about in 2019. Why do you think Harvard move on? They let Move On have 7 authors on a paper about lowly ADOS at Harvard that they had to retract. Why do you think that the New York Times sent them damn reporters down there and wrote that damn paper that way? We were going to galvanize you. See, we really need more than 2 parties. That's the problem. We need a party to the left of the Democrats. We need a party that would never choose Obama, that would damn sure never choose Kamala. We need a party that recognizes the poverty that has been placed inside of my life, inside of your life. We don't have that right now, because we got Nicole Hannah-Jones, who got a white granddaddy, telling us about a black woman and leaving out the fact that she ain't Black American. Can I get to it? She said we should vote in a black woman. That's what Nicole said. She don't even think straight. In a total collapse, the Democratic Party has collapsed. A cataclysmic failure, a bad candidate, no agenda, no vision. Yvette Carnell. A senior House Democrat tells Axios, we're all resigned ourselves to a second Trump presidency. Several dozen former national security officials who supported Biden have signed a letter asking him to step down as the Democratic presidential nominee because his candidacy poses an unacceptable level of risk. They talking like they hands is clean, like they not the ones that chose him. No. You stand by him. You own that. You telling me 12 weeks before That's like the night before Christmas. Ain't no gifts under the tree. They saying, well, I know it's 11:30 at night on Christmas, but you think we can run down to the liquor store and get some stuff? You don't want to go down to the liquor store? See, that's why we don't have no gifts. With the deepest appreciation for your many decades of inspired leadership, we strongly believe that this is a letter that Axios said is coming from the Democratic establishment. A letter said this: with the deepest appreciation for your many decades of inspired leadership, we strongly believe that ongoing concerns surrounding your, meaning Biden's, continued candidacy and the growing likelihood of an electoral college victory for Donald Trump put your national security accomplishments and our country and our legacy at an unacceptable risk. Reads the letter they intend to send, which HuffPost viewed a copy of on Thursday evening. You had Senate Majority Leader Democrat Schumer told Biden it would be better for the country if he ended his re-election bid. Good job telling him this late. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
All right, give me your take on it.
Calling. You know, what I study history a lot, so the only thing will remind me of, in 1877 when Hayes won the election, and black people were Democratic, Republican, and was Republican, and they the Democrats compromised for Hayes to win the election, for him to remove the Union Trump to the South, in order to enforce Jim Crow. This is what they're saying from Mayor to.
Yes. Yes.
It seems as if many Democrats are basically just sacrificing this election to Donald Trump and sacrificing us in the process.
Well, it's easy to say that now. They messed up. They calculated. See, we not seeing old people for what they are when they old. There was no reason that a year ago, people in that Biden camp couldn't see that this man hadn't regressed. Now, part of the problem, though, is that they picked a Kamala Harris, who's not a true VP in the sense of she didn't have no delegates, she didn't have no politics, she didn't have no reason to be there other than black women said, oh, we need a black woman, and that was who they chose. So they couldn't even run her.
Because we're not voting for Biden, you're voting against Trump. And Biden in itself understands that is how he's in the White House. And that's how he continues to be in the White House. It's just not his policies for you or what he does for you. It's just the fear of Trump.
And I would argue in the first election we voted against Trump. In this election we voting for Biden. So the problem is that Biden don't represent nothing. Now, if Biden don't represent nothing, what Kamala represent? Her whole campaign was empty. But that's her whole political life. But I don't understand how her whole political life is either center-right, right-wing, near empty, and then you got black women still saying, let's choose her. How do you get there? Oh, you don't understand politics, Nicole Hannah-Jones, Angela Rye.
Because they use the same identity politics that the Republicans use with them that they use with us in order to gain our support, but not actually politics. So,
but if you use identity politics, we're the ADOS person. She's Canadian. She's a Jamaican Indian lady. If you use an identity,
we too inclusive, so that doesn't matter to us, and they understood that. They understood that with Obama. They understood that with everything. That's why they're having an argument about that with hip hop and everything else. We always been too inclusive with everything we do, to the point that we never going to be. They never let us be at the forefront if they're the main resources for it.
Thank you so much.
So as long as you continue to include other people into what you're doing, they're going to always put somebody else who don't have the same interest or the same invested conflict that you have in that fight at the forefront.
I feel you.
That's how it's set up. So without us having our own political education, which is why I promote your page a lot, without us having our own political education, we're going to always be led any type of way. You can always lead us astray because we don't have our own system of infrastructure or persons we rely on to educate us of what's going on politically. So they can always just lead us anyway.
All right, man. I got a full queue. Everybody wants to speak on this. The main thing that I'm telling you today is they have effectively taken away your vote. They already put Biden out here. It's only 12 weeks to election. Kamala is not an alternative. She's not a national candidate. She's just not. What I'm saying to you today is that you need to hold the Democrats responsible, responsibly do it. But you need to be demanding that they answer for the failure that they have put in front of you that can have massive impacts on your community and your family. I think we got Yvette Carnell. Yvette, is that you there?
Yeah.
How you doing, Yvette?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? You still?
A little bit a little under the weather, but then it's also hot out here. So, because it's still early and we've been having a heat wave. But I just want to get you in here. I got your tweet on. I wanted you to speak to the message of the black woman thing with Nicole Hannah-Jones and the collapse of this party and telling us that we can swap candidates with 12 weeks out.
Well, first of all, I just think people need to understand something. Before, even in terms of the people who are talking to you, you have to understand the people who are talking to you. Prior to the 1619 project, which is really a ripoff of the ADOS project, Nicole Hannah-Jones was talking about segregated schools. So this is a person who knows enough about politics to be having this conversation with you, first of all. Second of all, what she's talking about is what she hears from her friends. And they're basically trying to threaten Biden and threaten everybody, DNC and everybody involved, and saying you have to put Kamala out there. Now, I agree with you. Kamala's not a national candidate, but I kind of wish they would put out because she can lose and we can just be done. But this idea that listen, we never wanted Kamala. She never resonated with our community. She never had great poll numbers in our community. So it's not like you have this group of people who are dedicated to her and are going to pull back because of our dedication to her. She doesn't have it anchoring in our community. She's not wildly popular in our community. So we passed on her first. We were the first to say, hey, we're not really feeling her. So what makes you think that, oh my God, like Nicole Hannah-Jones said, if y'all don't show up, I'm going to tell y'all something. If y'all don't show up, it sounds like y'all being racist. So it sounds like Trump doesn't have the poll number.
Can I anchor that? I have the tweet on screen now from Nicole Hannah-Jones, and I also have your tweet and also a set of polling that you put out. And I'm gonna read the three things. I want you to directly go right to them. This is what Nicole Hannah-Jones said, and it falls in line with Angela Rye and Sonny Hoskins. I have no idea what this black woman thing is. It should be an ADOS person. That's just my view. But they should also have very liberal politics. Yep, many folks have been saying this is an attempt to pass over Kamala Harris, and many black voters understand it that way, being that the most faithful Democratic voters with the highest turnouts are black women. They aren't black women, they are ADOS people. They just don't disaggregate. How do you not know this? Black men vote nearly the exact, like slightly lower than black, but we both vote very high Democrat. How do you say that out your mouth and don't know politics? It is about ADOS people and how we support this party and have supported it for decades because we want liberal policy. Yvette said Kamala has never had very high numbers among ADOS, which Nicole seemed to not know. Her campaign had already imploded when Biden yielded to pressure and chose her as a VP. Why would we revolt if she's passed over now? Now, let me read this last part, Yvette, to what you said. You choose your VP because they're supposed to bring something to you that you don't have already. Maybe a state, maybe a set of ideological beliefs, maybe something. So Kamala already comes from California. Biden's going to win that state anyway. Kamala is center-right on some of her politics and a former prosecutor. She doesn't bring a hard liberal stance. So what she did bring was being a black woman. Well, then why is it that among black voters, 58% viewed her favorably compared with 32% who viewed her unfavorably? You cannot have that split with black voters as a black VP, and that's your only selling point. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, it would have to match. See, if you're telling me the Democrats have got to win, like if you're telling me if the Democrats don't win, it's over for democracy. And I look up and I see Kamala's poll numbers, and I look up and I see she's not even resonating with the community that you all say she's the same as Adolf. We know that's not true, but I see she's not resonating with the base. She has high unfavorables, and she's not resonating with the base of the people that she's supposed to drop to the polls. And her first campaign imploded on its own. She came out as a front runner, and the campaign imploded. By what right does a group of boule
Come on.
Y'all don't know what we feel, what we think. You all only talk to each other. Then go on TV and say, oh, let me tell you what black people are telling you. They ain't telling you nothing. You don't even hang around us. They're not telling you anything.
Can I ask you one more thing? Because I'm not going to keep you too long. A couple more things on it. But this is what I want to get to. So I put out a tweet, and I don't think people are grasping, because they're just pitching it as normal, how abnormal isn't the right word, how almost ignorant this is. Like, we're just going to swap him out with 12 weeks until a presidential campaign, a presidential vote is going to happen. But if they were to swap her out, this is my view. The only way the Democrats can run Kamala Harris is to run her purely on identity. And we will not really know her platform. It's going to have to just be like, we don't really know. She not Trump. Then shame anyone asking, what are her politics for my constituents? Meaning, as we said, what are you going to do for Black ADOS Americans? Because of Trump Project and Project 25, it is basically an inverted form of voter disenfranchisement. You let people vote, but muted the process that selects the liberal candidate. In addition, you block anyone asking about this far-right truancy law that she instituted. So what I'm asking you, based on what I just shared with you, is can they even run her? Like, I'm not talking about now structurally, whether I'm saying, like, how could she even put out a campaign in that amount of time? The Kamala Harris we know.
Well, she could have put out a campaign if she had a first good campaign. This would be just a continuation of that good campaign. If she had come in a real close second to Biden, she could just continue that campaign and take off. Like, she could do that. Like, for example, I think if Hillary Clinton got in there, she could take off and say, y'all made a mistake the first time. I'm not saying whether you did or didn't. I'm just saying if you put forth a campaign, even though it may not have been the right campaign for ADOS, that doesn't mean it was not an adult campaign. If Kamala wants to do that, and like I said, they might just throw her out there to get rid of her. But the truth of the matter is, to me, it would need to happen this week too. Like, it would need to happen to take time away from the RNC and all of that stuff. The Biden drop out, he's gonna drop out this week. But he's put out a statement that he's gonna start back campaigning next week. I just don't see, like, this Democratic Party is in chaos, and part of they're in chaos is because they sidelined ADOS. They sidelined the left when they came with Bernie. They have sidelined everybody who has tried to get them to do something transformative. And now they're just left with this little we're not as bad as Republicans thing, and that's just not enough. And that's who Kamala is. Like, if I ask anybody in this chat, hey, what does Kamala stand for? Like, what is she fighting? If you say what does Trump stand for, everybody's gonna say build a wall, and then start talking about other stuff. What are her core beliefs? And you can't tell me anything except just to maintain kind of America as is and do better. And something like that. That's not something that's going to get fired up.
Now, the last thing I'm gonna ask you, I have the Democratic pledge delegates from 2020. You got Biden with the 2,700. You had Sanders with 1,100. Warren with 60. Bloomberg with 44. Even Buddy Gig got 21. Gabbard had 2. You know who's not on there? Kamala. I mean, the abysmal failure of her campaign. Do you think it's getting enough coverage, or are they just covering it all up? I'll leave you at that.
I don't think it ever got enough coverage. Like Biden picking Kamala for VP never got enough coverage. Kamala's campaign, long before he picked her, long before she dropped out, is like what she said may have been a deal to get her out of there, because South Carolina may have been wanting on the thing she could do a little bit, a little uptick. But here's the thing. She started out, I know I said this, but I want to drive it home. She started out as a front runner. It's even worse than she did so bad. She fell so low because she started out so high. What that tells you is that the problem with her campaign and her candidacy, it wasn't anyone else. Even when she got Biden on that stage and said, I was that little black girl, she wasn't. But even when she did that, she backtracked. She started borrowing legislation and policy recommendations for this was Warren or whatever. We don't know what Kamala stands for, and I think we don't know because she doesn't stand for anything. And we're not going to fight for her because she doesn't stand for anything. She said, I'm not going to do anything specifically black people know. So what are we even having a conversation about?
And we're trying to do it all in 12 weeks too, Yvette. You ever had a broccoli mixed with strawberries, mixed with oat milk, mixed with peanuts shake? No, you don't drink that. They done mixed a bunch of stuff up in this lady. This far-right truancy laws, this image of an AKA, this black woman without her ever being clear to anybody that she's not African-American. I saw Paskey the other day. She said, oh, Kamala will be the first African-American president. She's the first she's not African-American. She don't make it clear. She never corrects them. She just go quiet. Watch her. I don't know what this is. Any last thing you want to say to the audience about what's going to happen next?
Well, only thing I want to say is, this is a time to really, I do believe this is a moment where we could have some leverage. I don't know if that's going to happen because if you look at Bakari Sellers and all these folks, they're just too stubborn into what they want to see happen and the outcome that they want to see. And nobody understands that this moment is not about you anyway. This moment is about what you can extract for the people that you say you care about. This is not about protecting the Democrats. It's about protecting particular agendas that uplift your community. And when I look around, I don't see people who have that. I don't even see people with good political instinct in the Democratic Party right now. And I think that's a problem.
Thank you so much. What a call. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I ain't going to keep you too long. Again, she didn't get no delegates. You can look for yourself. Yeah, they said they're going to run her with 14 weeks and we already rejected her, the whole party. You got a lady that her family is Jamaican American, came here for school. That's her recessive part. We never see the dad. She really anchored to being an Indian. Her auntie already said that. Everything Kamala is inculcated from her mama. That's what the auntie told us. Her Indian auntie. So you get to come here after the Jim Crow. Come on. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Kim from Houston. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I just want to get your take.
Well, I think first off, this whole Biden thing, it reminds me of RBG completely. The ego is just, magnified like you would not believe. Whether he's understanding what he's doing, he is creating a problem. But with Kamala, to me, she seems like a Manchurian candidate for Asia. What do you think of that?
I don't really go into conspiracy theories. I just know for a fact she ain't Adolf, and she doesn't do nothing for Adolf's people, in my view.
Yeah, that's true. I just every time I see it, I just see her as a Manchurian candidate for Asians, and white people are so fixated on, I guess, staying above black people and holding everything from black people that they're not realizing that they're losing the race to Asian immigrants. They already earn everybody else. They are becoming politically savvy and politically powerful.
Say she ran on being tough, principled, and fearless. Those are conservative words, that key words that conservatives use in 2019. Tough, principled, and fearless. Why do conservatives always portray themselves as tougher than liberals? Another one. What is principled conservatism? She was signaling to the right, to white right wing, tough, principled. And I don't even understand the identity of black politics that lets someone like this be pushed instead of black women that say they want a black candidate. I'm just saying. I'm gonna let you go, caller, because I'm starting to cough. So I had to bring this show today. I don't even understand what we're talking about. I know that Kamala Harris's campaign unraveled back in 2019, 2020. This is my third presidential campaign. I've never seen an organization treat its staff so poorly. How Kamala Harris' campaign unraveled, New York Times. And they're going to run her nationally. This is the letter. Go read it on the New York Times from the lady that worked for Kamala. Democrats need to be told to get rid of the whole 2020 ticket or hold their Joe Biden bag. I just want to come to you, have a discussion. This is Tone Talk. Please go to tonetalks.org. Subscribe, donate, and share. Thank you so much for your time.